Hello, listeners. What an afternoon it was. I had to have a granny nap, and I'm not sure I can do any work tonight. So I set up my studio by the piano, and I've got all my instruments plug and play, so I can plug, all my electric instruments I can plug straight in and do lessons. But more than that, and the really big thing that I wanted to do was a DJ type thing, but I'm not doing house grooves or anything. I'm not standing there with my headphones on, waving an arm in the air, being cool like that. I'm being a really rather uninteresting DJ. And I set up the cameras. I've got all these records, okay? As part of Blink Friction, which is all about recycling, I bought hundreds and hundreds of records, and vinyl, that is, 7-inch and 12-inch. And so many of them were just absolute rubbish. And the ones that are absolute rubbish, i.e. scratched, I mean, one job lot I bought on eBay clearly was in somebody's attic, and they were damp and smelly. And, on eBay, I never, ever give anybody bad feedback on eBay, unless they're a complete rip-off merchant. But probably some guy who, and I say guy because there were names written on some of them, and it was a boy's name. So I'm just assuming. I don't know if that's true. I think he might have been a DJ, as in, one of the DJs kind of used to go to a pub and put all this 80s stuff on. Anyway, lots of them were very scratched and pretty much unsavable. And those ones I painted on for Blink Friction. But all these other ones, I was sitting here the other day and I thought, no, I really want to get back to my DJ sets, which are just really cosy, sort of getting ready for bed mood, chilled jazz maybe, that sort of thing. But of course, I haven't got much jazz in my collection. I've got absolutely hundreds of not just vinyl. I've got tapes as well. I've got disco. I went mad. This was last year. I went absolutely mad. So I'm about a year late for setting up my DJ decks and everything. They've been set up, they've moved, and now they've been set up again. And it's absolutely perfect. And I've sort of improved a bit with certain things. Now, yesterday, I set up all my camera, my kind of, what I wanted to do was a wide shot with me and my equipment, okay? Now, when you're teaching music lessons, you can just use a sort of a webcam or a camera actually on the instrument. It's quite good, looks really good if you do that. But for a DJ, so remember, I'll be sort of chatting rubbish like I do on this podcast, in between playing old records. And for that, the idea was to have sort of two cameras, one for close-up face chatting and then one for the sort of the wide shot. But I played one track and I thought, well, the audience is just going to have to stare at my face or, nothing happening. And what am I going to do for these 3-minute tracks? I'm just going to sit there doing nothing. I thought, well, I can't have that, can I? So, rather excitingly, I've been doing lots and lots of live drawing on my iPad using different methods, and I really like layers and, I've just built up a practice doing that for my gallery, Aura. And it looks really exciting when you watch it played back. But of course, well, not of course, but when you play it back as an animation, it's really low res. So it's kind of, where I work in very fine lines, it's kind of missing the point. So what we've done today, I say we because I used AI to help me set this up, and it's taken me about 4 hours. It's just so long-winded. But what I've created is now a studio where I can chat a bit, put a record on, and while the record's on, I can draw, and you can see the screen, and you'll see me drawing live. But you won't see my hands. You'll just see it happening on the screen. How exciting is that? I'm just so overwhelmed. I'm more overwhelmed that I actually managed to do it. Honestly, I'm absolutely exhausted. It's very, very difficult for older people, and I do class myself as an older person, although I'm very tech savvy, to understand some of the things that computers do, even if you've been working with them for a very long time. I'm quite sure that young children would be able to do what I did in a quarter of the time. You could probably ask a 7-year-old. One of my grandchildren could probably do it. But it was so confusing, guys, honestly. Anyway, we finally done it. And the other thing about the records, when I was doing this sort of half-heartedly over the summer last year with live playing of the vinyl, and some of them were so scratched and they just sounded just awful because they were just going straight into a podcast recorder, so there was no EQ or anything like that. But what I bought, and it's so useful, it's called Ion, I-O-N, Duo, right? And you can transfer all of your vinyl and your tapes onto your computer system as a digital copy, right? And then you can edit the digital copy so you can use, because obviously I'm a music producer, so this is right up my street. So, just basic. I'm not going to go mad. I'm not remastering them or anything. I'm just taking some of those scratches down so you can actually hear the music instead of the scratches. There's always going to be a bit of kind of scratchy vibe, but it's so lush, the vinyl, how it sounds. I just love it. It really is gorgeous. But of course, when you've got hundreds of records and they're just, in such a mess, this is a real saving grace. So what I'm going to do is, for my shows each night, I will pre-record the digital version and tweak it so you guys listening don't have to hear all the cracks. And then you can watch me draw as I choose different tracks and have a chat and talk about, whatever boring subject I happen to find interesting that day that nobody else probably wants to hear, but tough. I'm really excited. But I don't think I can start this tonight, because it's just taken it out of me. It really has. So later on tonight, I'm going to set up the lighting so that I know how it's to be forevermore and just keep it there, so that all I have to do for my midnight shows is slide into my chair and say, press a button and say hello, and there we go. So really, really, really pleased to have done that. So I'm going to be on a platform called Lounges TV, but you'll be able to find the link to all of my shows on Lounges all over the internet. I'm going to do that tonight, so it'll be linked directly. You can just go to my blogs or whatever. But also, if you want to see the free stuff, you can just see that on YouTube. So there, absolutely and utterly knackered, guys. I'm so tired. But actually, feeling a little bit accomplished. But do you know what? I'm going to get an early night. I am, so I can be really fit for tomorrow's show. So I hope you'll join me. But I'll talk loads more about it, and I'll share all the stuff on my blogs, etc. And you should have no trouble finding me. So, how exciting. Join me soon on Lounges TV.